Hey dudes, welcome back to another episode of our Rhomas Men's Team podcast. You are about to listen to one of our prior team meetings. If you ever want to join one of our live sessions that we have every Monday and Friday, head over to rhomas.com. That's RHOMAS.com and put your email in and we will send you a live link every time we record. We generally record on Mondays and Fridays. So if you ever want to be on the actual podcast, like we bring men up all the time to talk about their goals, talk about their obstacles, etc., head over to rhomas.com. And then also, if you want to help support the channel grow and also have access to exclusive content, book reviews, extra whiteboard sessions, etc., and some coaching sessions, head over to patreon.com and support us. We would love it. But if not, no biggie. We'll see you on the live sessions. Later, dudes. Enjoy this podcast.
We are live. I don't know exactly when we go live, but yeah, I was telling Wes before he came on, I have been, my laptop's acting out on me, man. I've been dogging it. I haven't been turning it off, and it's been on. It's been in sleep mode, so it's not getting its full rest. And now my toolbar is locked, and it's in my way. So,
oh, dude, unless you have a Mac, from my understanding, you got to turn that shit off every day, like literally every day. But I also find that it's helpful because it helps create those parameters, like closing the loop. Okay, my projects are done for the time being. I'm not just going to leave 15 things open, so it's like you're starting with a blank canvas the next day, and then you have to be intentional about what you open up the next day.
No, that's true. That's totally true. And the thing this week, I think I was nervous to turn it off completely because I've been doing like a ton of work on the psychnol stuff. I'm almost done. But I was like, man, I did all this work. It took me hours. What if I turn this thing off and it doesn't save or does some weird? Prezi is wonky, dude. Prezi's wonky, and their customer service, I'll say it, is bad because you can't get anyone on the phone unless you like pay for like some super subscription. So if you have problems with Prezi, they're just like, pay us more and we'll talk to you. And it's like, dude, this sucks. It makes me so, and I'm like, I'm like talking to the bot. I'm like, can you relay this message to the human being on the phone that sucks? They're like, thank you. I'm sorry you're frustrated. I'm like, drives me nuts.
Dude, I want to throw this out there, man. I'm just like, first of all, I'm running off of, I've done a terrible job at sleep, like still. And I know you and I talked about it. I admitted to the group. I'm going off of 2 hours last night, 2.5 hours last night. Yeah, it's getting pretty wild. Except for one night this week, I did get 11. But anyway, the reason I'm saying this is like, whenever I don't get a lot of sleep, I'm usually super cranky or like a little down. It's just what happens. But I will say that because of you, Matt, and all of you guys, like I'm super pumped about the week because the conversation I have with you, Matt, throughout the week, and then what I see on the Discord, it's just fucking cool. Like I'm the luckiest dude in the world. Be able to like do this stuff with you guys and share, and then have you guys share back. It's just fucking awesome. So yeah, thank you.
It is the pump up, and it's also the it's just good. Like I said, there's so much stuff on the internet, and it's fun to do all your stuff you want to do, but it is nice to have at the end of the day, or however you look at it, to have some sort of part of what you're, again, like your informational diet, what part of that is actually nourishing you versus like,
right,
just kind of rattling your cage, either like making you angry. Dude, I thought about this today. So it's like, all right, so say you're not on the path, dude. You're not, self-directed, working on kind of self-chosen things that reflect your values. You're just kind of out sitting at a job, smoking cigarettes, complaining, being, man, life sucks. This sucks. Everything sucks. Typically what happens is, you go home from your job you hate. Again, you lack direction or any kind of focus on anything that's inherently or intrinsically meaningful. So you have this big square in your house and you turn it on and you're like, oh, sweet, I can just have this TV distract me from all my life's problems. Again, this is just, I'm just riffing, but it's like you start to watch TV, you watch all the series, you go, oh, still nothing. I still feel this gnawing feeling. I need to be productive with my TV watching time. So I'm going to watch the news. This is the thing people trick themselves into. Oh, I'm going to watch the news. This is not a waste of time. I'm being informed right now. So then you take your undirected, aimless kind of mode of just kind of kicking around. And then you just get this fucking beam light. There's light just beamed on you. That's just like, hey, here's something you should be freaking out and pissed off about. And it's just fucking nonstop. And it's like, so then you take this undirected, unprincipled life, and then you just let it just be dictated by, basically a corporation that just wants to keep you watching it. It's like, I always ram on about the news, but it's like, it's just such a trap when you think about it. It's like, you don't have any self-defined direction. And then it's just like that all just sifts down into eventually like, oh, here's this thing. And then, you know, next thing you know, you're out like throwing tear gas at people and you're like, I think I'm pissed at you for some reason. But yeah, man, it's just fucking like, I was thinking about that today and I'm like, God damn, it's just so pernicious, dude, of like, you know, just how deep that goes. And it's just,
Oh,
a
yeah.
shame.
No, it really is, man. So, no, I agree with you, dude. It's like the default way of living is just not very productive in terms of results. And Troy, no, I appreciate your comment there. Yeah, like there's something about being on a team where everybody has focus and is about after, you know, making progress. So it's just really cool. So Matt, if you're cool with that, I'd really like to dedicate today's show to referencing a lot of what the guys have said in the Discord.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cool shit going on in the Discord. You mind if I kind of go through
Dude,
the list?
Please, man. Please.
Oh, cool. So the first thing is Pablo 203, and I got to learn the guys' names. I'm sorry, I'm still like kind of getting used to all this. Pablo 203. I'm not sure if he's on here on today, but he said he just had another baby. So I want to say congrats to him.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, super awesome. Oh, Pablo, is that Dylan? Is that Dylan? I hope that's Dylan. So Dylan, congrats, man. But one of the things he said there was, hey, man, I think he had his second child. And he said one of the things was, I believe he said he needs to focus on him, like refocus on himself, at least for a portion of the day. And one thing I'll just throw out there is like a brother to a brother, man. It's like, yeah, you work on yourself and focus on yourself so that you can be there for other people. Right. I think the default is, especially, I'm going to assume, and Matt, you obviously speak to this way better than I can. When you have a child, especially, the default is just give everything to that human or to your family and so on. But as I see in you, it's like you have to work on yourself at least for a small portion of the day, because that builds up the foundation which you can help everybody, help the rest of the people in your group. Is that somewhat of a reasonable statement?
Yeah, big time, man. It's like, you know, and it also sounds great to just be like, you know, like I'm just doing everything. It's just about the kid. And it is to a degree, but you can also kind of shift another lack of direction. It's a very compelling thing to shift a total lack of direction into, and just be like, I'm just doing everything for my kid right now. And it's like, okay, well, the kid's going to start talking eventually and ask you questions. And, you know, you're gonna have to start leading by example at some point, or like show it how to live, or you're just going to show your kid that it should just completely, you know, caretake other people and, you know, do like that self-negation stuff, which, you know, typically ends in resentment and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's like, it's just a balance thing, man. It's like, you know, I prioritize where it's like, say I am busy, you know, my kid's crying, I'm obviously going to go deal with that. But it's like, there also needs to be kind of parts of your schedule that are built into like just strictly dealing with the things that make you feel, you know, good or fulfilled or okay. And it's like, otherwise your kid will suffer.
Yep. No, 100%. So yeah, man. So big congrats to Dylan, man. That's awesome. And yes, please, we are here. I think one of the biggest manifestations of what we do is here to support fathers, you know, because that is one of the ultimate sort of like destinations for us men is how do you build up that skill set to be a father, because that is a direct impact you have on other humans' lives. So it'll be really cool to watch you. It's been super cool to watch you, Matt. And I can't wait till I have that experience as well. But in the meantime, Dylan, congratulations, brother.
Congrats, bro.
Next one is A-Link27. Again, I'm not sure who that is, so if somebody could say, hey, that's me. A-Link27 says he planned on date night for his wife for the first time in a long time. And dude, that is huge. And it's huge, I think, for a couple of reasons. Number one, it seems like he's been putting that off for probably maybe no other reason than just like life got in the way. But I'm going to imagine that worked wonders with his girl. I don't know if with his wife. And it's just one of those things, man. It's like, hell yeah, you know, let's do that more often. It's so simple. And Matt and I were kind of talking about this before we launched today. I know that I myself have gotten resentful at, you know, girlfriends giving me feedback and saying, oh, you're not giving me attention or whatever it is. And to me, I automatically put it through like the nag filter. So it's like, oh man, and I get in all this like big thing in my head. It's like, oh my gosh, I do this for you, I did this for you, and what about this? Like, I went out to dinner with you and your parents last week and all that. But at the end of the day, when I take a step back, I look at it and it's like, oh, wait a second. It's actually not that hard to solve this. Like, you know, so relatively recently, I got somebody like in a former relationship, I got this person just a a little card. I bought these cards from Amazon, and just like little thinking about you cards. They have all these different messages. I highly recommend this to everyone. Like, go to Amazon, get these like little love messages. It's already pre-written. They got little graphics on there, and then you just put it in their stuff. Like mom put in your lunchbox when you're little. Like, so easy to do. So easy to do. It's crazy. And what that does in terms of filling up the emotional bank account, it doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense how much it does. So little things like that. So A-Link, huge shout out to you, man, for planning your date night with your wife. It's like, how much effort did that really take? Probably relatively little relative to the reward that you got from it in the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too. I think like if you really boil it down, it's just like anytime a person is reminded of the fact that they're being thought of and kept in mind, it's just like for some reason, and I don't know if it goes all the way back to like, people's inherent need to be like, attached to other people and like the horror of like the thought of like being like completely left alone. But it's like, I think that a lot of that is just being able to be like, get a little note and you're like, oh man, it's just, there's never time I've gotten a personalized note in like my lunch or anything. And I was like, fucking bullshit. And, I'm always like, oh, that's so sweet, man. That's so nice.
It is.
But yeah, man. And the other thing too, I was thinking about in terms of like a little date night, I thought of a little secret mission the other day, and I'm going to try to carry it out with my cousin and one of my friends from, I haven't seen this guy in a while, but Del Granny, it's my boy.
Yeah.
So my cousin Pat and Del Granny, and I was telling them, I'm like, look, we should all plan a secretive date night. I think every people should try this too. So you just convince your wives, girlfriends, whatever, say, look, we're going out for dinner, so it'll be fun. You and I are going to go out, but you also tell your friends to go to the same exact place, and you secretly make a party of 6. So you have 3 people who think they're going on a date, and it's just a big group thing. I think it'd be kind of just like a fun little surprise.
Oh, dude, well, that's the thing, man. Like, you can't miss.
Yeah.
As long as you put a little bit of effort into it, you can't miss.
Yep. So you get you get date night credit, and you get to chill with your homies, dude, and you get surprise credit. It's a 360 win, and 360 wins are typically pretty rare. But it's a 360. It's a 360 win, unless they're like, "What the fuck? I thought we were going out. This is bullshit."
Well, yeah. So I want to edit my prior statement. You can't miss unless. So I'll throw this out to you guys, so you guys never do it. One Christmas, one Christmas, I wanted to get like an adventure type of Christmas gift for my girlfriend at the time. And so I made this like super cool, like cute little thing, like went to Michael's, did the whole arts and crafts thing. Like, it was awesome. I thought it was awesome. So, but what I didn't think of, because I was thinking about like the craftsmanship of it and all these things, like the setup and the presentation. I'm a super big fan of like gift wrapping because my mom was really into that. So anyway, I do it. But because it was like an adventure type of thing, I didn't purchase either one of them. Like, one was skydiving and another one was something else. But I wasn't sure, like I didn't want to back her in a corner and say, okay, we're going skydiving, in case like she was super scared of it. So I gave options, and that's not good apparently, because what was, and in hindsight, I kind of understand it, but I didn't want to make her feel awkward and saying, "Hey, I got you skydiving," and again, I forget what the other one was. Let's say it was like go-kart racing, whatever the fuck. So then she's like, well, so basically you didn't get me anything. And I'm like, oh, well, that's one way to look at it, completely. But so just don't do that. Anything, you can do anything else, but don't do that. Just make sure you get something.
You can't have like a theoretical aspect of your gift at all.
Yes. Yeah. So that, dude, it ruined Christmas. And then I got pissed because it ruined Christmas. Like, who fucking cares? It's just a gift. Like, I tried,
What about the thing you made? Didn't you make a thing though?
Yeah, but that was like that was the wrapping of it. Like, it was this big thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Damn,
so yeah, don't do that. So
whatever. That's fair. No, I agree. I think you do have to have it, the thing figured out, let it be what it is.
Yes. Yeah. So that's that. But otherwise you can't miss. Like, you really can't. And I've noticed that pretty much every time I've gotten like nasty in my head, it's like, oh, she's just fucking nagging me, man. It's like, no, it's actually pretty easy solve. And it's usually because I haven't filled up that emotional bank account over time.
Yeah. I mean, even like, dude, having something on the horizon helps too. Like being like, all right, I'm not going to do it right now, but like, let's make a plan for, even if it's like a month out, having that thing on the horizon helps, I think, big time.
Hold on. A what?
Having that thing on the horizon, I think, helps big time. If you just like plan the thing out, if you're like, look, we're not going to do it right now because of X, Y, and Z, but in 1 month's time, we are going to blah, do this or that.
Yeah.
Dude, the other thing too, before you go on to the other, I was thinking about, the kid and, all that stuff and the kind of perspective change. And it's one of those things too. It's kind of drilled into your head, like your whole world's going to change. And a lot of times you can be like, God damn it. Hold on.
I was just telling Matt earlier, like, dude, he doesn't get pissed at anything, but when tech breaks, he fucking freaks. He's so angry.
Here we go.
Oh, dude. So Matt, while you're away, I don't know if you can hear someone, but to Dylan, to your question, he said, I'm always the guy who runs out the target the night before. Reminder, guys, Target is open later than Walmart. So funny. So Dylan, I'm like the same exact way. That is one reason I went to Amazon. Like, Dylan, if I can convince you and all you guys on listening to this, go to Amazon right now and just get a whole shitload of cards and thinking about you cards. Like, that will protect you from like a super big traffic jam in the future. And Amazon, it's super easy. Like, just go and do that way, and you keep it in a box. That way you've got 100 or 200 options, so you don't back yourself into a corner. I hope that makes sense.
Dude, no, I'm sorry. I have half of what you guys are talking about, but I'm looking at the things, Dylan. You're saying, so you have a homebody bae who smokes weed. Awesome. Dude, look into like homemade kind of like jewelry. You can get kind of like like stuff like the kind of homespun handmade jewelry stuff that's pretty cheap, but like I think women who typically smoke weed enjoy it very, very, very much so.
Yes.
So that's always a gift option. Also, so this is what I was thinking. Sorry, before my fucking laptop budged a centimeter and my camera went off. So make it yourself. Sorry. So what I was thinking of is, there's this perspective change. It's promised to you when you have a kid. It's like your whole world's going to change, this and that. And sometimes that can happen where you're just kind of like, well, I think I'm still the same. I don't know, what's going on. But the one aspect of, having a kid that kind of illuminated something for me that sounds really obvious and maybe is kind of hard to articulate. But when you hold a kid, it's like you just look at it and there's this part of, your kind of strivings and direction, in terms of what you're trying to do that just like, for me, got kind of like cemented in place where it's like, oh, all I have to do is just serve, this person. This is like serving life rather than like, living in my head and trying to like prove my existence through like, service to the ego or like this dream of being like accepted or lauded. And you're like, no, I have to just like do this stuff for human beings. And it's like a very subtle and maybe sounds obvious, but it's like, when you're living your life in terms of like, I need this to happen, I need this to happen. It's like, no, you just have to be good to all these other human beings around you. It's like genuinely really rewarding. I might cry. I keep thinking about it, but it's like,
oh, it's awesome, man.
It's just, just check yourself when you're doing that. If you're whacked out, like, am my intentions in line with like serving life, like, making it better for humans, or am I just trying to arrange reality in a way that serves my own ego?
So, no, dude, that's super cool. I think you're spot on, man. Well, and it almost goes to the point that we were talking about earlier, where like you and I, before we got on the podcast, I was telling you how thankful I was for you and for the guys. And it's like that whole serving life, just being valuable for other people. And I can't imagine what that's like to do it for an actual human that you've created. So that's super cool to see you explain that. But there's not a day that I wake up anymore without one of you guys, sending an email or saying like, hey, this is helpful, or like, hey, I'm doing this. Like, that's just super fucking cool to know that you're helping other people and to know that like other people are helping you. Like all you guys have helped me. Matt, you've helped me tremendously. Like it's just cool to be on a fucking team that does that.
Yeah, man. I mean, and also it makes the, if people are kind of thinking about kind of taking or like kind of like launching off or doing something, having a little squad of people who are, either doing the same or at least like open to that idea. When things don't go right, it makes that a lot easier. If you try to do something and it just blows up in your face, bringing that idea to like, say like resentful coworkers who don't really like seeing you go off on the path and do something different versus a bunch of people who are all striving to kind of like really expand their limits. I think it kind of helps big time. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I've experienced that before. Like, oh, it didn't really work out, huh? It's like kind of shitty, but when everyone's on the same page, it's like, it makes those things less scary. And it kind of makes it so like, again, even if it doesn't go well, it's like, fuck, man, I'm going to retool it, but I tried.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and dude, it's awesome to see all the guys sharing these ideas. Mind if I move down the list of the?
Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So the next thing in the Discord, I want to give ASB 2 shout outs, because one of the comments that he said in there is he took off every Tuesday this month to take more dance / gymnastics classes because that's what he really enjoys. And dude, I think ASB is a perfect example of defining exactly how you want your life to be, and then go chasing it regardless of the social context around it. And it's one thing that I have to work on. So it's cool and inspiring. And then even Teabag said that ASB inspired him to go into more mobility type of training. So both of those guys, great job on sharing. And then Teabag also said that he's getting 8 hours of sleep, and he said it's a game changer now. So yeah, I could not agree more. Sleep, and I'm not doing it currently, but 100%. And then also, Don Cornelius 302 posted about a free act of love he did for his girl, and this was phenomenal, like super phenomenal. He made her a playlist, and the one I like how he positioned it, it's like, hey, here's a free thing you do, because a lot of this stuff does not cost any money. Right? It doesn't matter if you've got a bunch of money in the bank. It's like creating a free playlist for your girl is very simple, very easy, and then very custom.
Yeah. And it's also too, it's like, I love the thing that really I saw and was like, damn, that's such a good idea, is that you can custom tailor playlists to certain things people are about to embark on. If someone's got a new job, or like, I got a long commute, it's like, all right, well, I'll make, how long's your commute, and try to time it. Like, I'll try to make a playlist that's like, an hour and 10 minutes. Or like, I'm nervous, but I'm going to start going to the gym. It's like, here's a gym playlist of songs that I know that will kind of pump you up, like songs that you like. Dude, that's something that's on my to-do list for this weekend. I'm going to try to make one for Britt, since she's been like hitting the gym.
Dude, I read that. I was like, that's exactly,
yeah, dude.
It's so spot on, like so spot on. Another thing I wanted to give ASB a shout out for was, there's something in here where he's being pretty vulnerable and letting the guys know something negative that happened. I'm trying to go back to it. ASB, I hope you don't mind me reading this. I assume you don't, but said, not having a great day. CEO called me regarding 2 comments I made to the team, and boss making it feel like I'm treating this job as transactionally, whereas in reality, this startup is creating an unusually valuable service, as evidenced by our extremely high profit margin and demand, cleared it up, blah, blah, blah. Also messed up and only presented on one competitor to my boss instead of the 2 I was supposed to, mostly because I slipped my mind because I'm not focused enough on my job last week and this week. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up is like, that's also what the group's for, right? Like, what are your wins, and then what are you struggling with? And then letting people know that kind of stuff, because oftentimes it might seem like everybody else has got their stuff together, or, ASB is doing great, or Matt's doing great, or West doing whatever. But it's like, no, everybody has their struggles, and being vulnerable, and then discussing the mechanics of what's going on. And then what I really liked about what ASB did is, I believe he said, like, he just kind of messed up. He hasn't been focused on his job as much as he should have been. And that's cool, right? Like, you messed up, you took ownership of it, and you told the guys about it so that they can live through the experience, and then also maybe help you, and then you can help them simultaneously. So that's like a perfect example of like being a solid teammate.
Yeah, and it's also too, it's so funny too, like how, say anyone has something kind of similar to that happen, or something that was just overtly negative. It is helpful. Like, dude, I was telling you, Wes, before we did this today, I apparently had fucking bugs in my outlets, didn't know. So like, it's like that. If I had not been, which sounds like whatever, but it's pretty gross. They're coming out. Obviously, my wife's not the hugest fan of it, kind of freaking out. So it's like, I try to start my day, and it's these fucking beetles in my outlet. And it's like, I got so much shit done this week just because of like staying structured and like, checking off all my stuff. And like, dude, I got like a ton of stuff done. If I had not been getting all the stuff done that I'm getting done, I think you brought this up before too, Wes. It's like, when you actually have a bunch of balls rolling, when like one thing breaks down, it doesn't really so much feel like the world's collapsing. And it was like, again, like, I'm like, oh man, if I had not been doing all this stuff, and it's kind of, being in my like usual kind of half doing stuff drift of like, just bullshitting around, dude, that like bug situation could have blown up into a humongous thing. But in reality, it was just like, it's just a small, like, okay, I'll deal with this and get back to like the gears that are just turning down here of just like constant successive action. Even though, sometimes I wake up, I'm like, well, I don't feel like doing this thing first. I've been forcing myself to stick to it. Like, I don't care. I'm doing this first because this is the order of stuff I do things.
Yep.
Dude, it's just, again, like something like that pops up. It's like, it just like, you almost take it on differently. You're like, all right, so what are we, all right, XYZ, boom, get these done. All right, we're on to this thing. And it's like, dude, it's so important, man. Again, and I credit having that kind of structure to being like, the wins are just already stacked up. So when you encounter a little setback, you just go like, oh, okay, well, fuck, man, these little bastards, let's get them.
Oh yeah. Well, can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Share screen. There you go. So that's exactly, Matt, in my opinion, why you and I created the scorecard, is to show that. Can you see the screen now?
Yep.
So when we do the screen, like, I suggest everybody to do it. I have a printout version that I do, but I also, I update it daily on the digital version. And the main reason for that is because it's color coded. So like when I'm having a down day, or if I don't feel like I have momentum, as long as I get my scorecard done and am focused on it, like it doesn't take too many, it's not too hard to knock out a lot of these in a very short period of time. And then all of a sudden you see this sea of, of green and only a few reds. And Matt, that kind of does for me what you're saying, right? Like when I look at this and I say, oh, like, my brain has a tendency to not recognize all of the wins, but when we can recognize our basic fundamental habits as wins, because that's what they really are. Like they for sure, these are not little dainty wins just to make up something. All of these things are fundamental. So do those things, and then all of a sudden the rest of the day you can absorb a certain amount of losses just based off of pure volume of wins that you had prior to that loss.
No, I think that's a huge thing. There was also too. I remember. I think it was from the dude. I think I've shared his videos before. The Wes Watson, like he got out of jail, jacked guy.
Yeah.
But he was the one who was talking about, the first one, I guess, to put that bug in my head of like stacking W's, just little dumb stuff, dude. Of like, did you read? Did you get your sleep? Did you eat proper? It's like there is something to that, man. When you start your day off and just like, if you can just I have these 3 habits, dude. If I can sit down, meditate, journal, and when I journal, again, all of them are kind of interconnected. But when I journal, I usually, if I have a dream about something, I just like to write it down because I just enjoy that. Yeah. And, it's cool too. If you start recording your dreams, you can go back and look at them over the course of time. And then after events transpire, you can be like, that's kind of weird. Like, maybe my brain was not like predicting the future, but like there was unresolved stuff coming out. But after I kind of like, I use it to like, if I have a dream, I just write it down. If I am dealing with something right then and there, I'll just kind of vent about it. And then, but I always end the journaling with like, what am I doing with my day? And it's just, I always lay down very specific things that I'm hoping to get done. And then it's like, now my day has a purpose. It has a shape, rather than just kind of like, oh, let me go upstairs and see what's going on. Like, it's just, again, I have a little mission every single day that I give myself. And dude, like doing that every morning. So that's like a big win. I meditated, I journaled, I figured out what my day is. And then I launch on those things that I said I would do. And it's like, it's pretty simple, man. It's really simple. And it's it's a big time. It just helps big time. And what I'm really trying to figure out is how to, because I don't have I'm not at an office 40 hours a week. So I have the time to do the things that I actually want to do, which, again, didn't come easy, but it's like, I want to really figure out, like, how do you do that for people who are in an office and like, only have a little bit of time, but like, how do you try to get it so they feel like they're kind of more in control of their life rather than just kind of being like blown about by, the powers that be.
So can you rephrase? I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. So are you saying like for the people who maybe don't have a ton of time, or maybe who are contextually or geographically or, just physically kind of constrained, you're in an office building, something like that? Is that what you're saying?
Like, because it works for me. And I'm like, this is so obvious. This is so easy. Like all you got to do. But then it's like, again, if I can go back to the times I had like a 40-hour a week job of like a job that I particularly hated. And it's like, how can you use these things? How can these things help you when you're in such a toxic environment? I think they do, but it's like, how can you stay motivated and because like, dude, I just know when I've been in that mode, it's like the hopelessness, dude, is so fucking thick. And it's just like, dude, you don't understand. And it's like, well, no, I've trust me, I've spent a lot of time. Again, I've literally shaped my life to not be in that mode because it like makes me want to fucking die. Like I fucking hate it. So it's like, I would love to be able to figure out kind of, easier. I took kind of extreme measures, but it's like, I'd love to see kind of easier ways and more kind of practical ways for turning that like 2 hours you have a day into like a productive 2 hours that, if you're productive enough, it eventually gives you like a third hour because, maybe you renegotiate with your boss because you're being a little more productive there, blah, 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 blah. So that's something I really, really am trying to like figure out,
Yeah. Well, I think a couple things. Number one, I think you can do it wherever. It doesn't matter the circumstances. And yes, I absolutely for sure believe that that doing things that are on the scorecard fundamentally based will change everything else. And I don't say that as hyperbole. I mean, that's just from experience. I mean, that scorecard has kept me sane and grounded for more than a decade at this point. But then the other thing, Matt, as you always push is like, okay, do what you can and then figure out a way out. It might take a little bit longer, especially if you've got debt, you've got all these things. Like, can you figure out a way, just like you did? Like you figured out a way to exit a circumstance. And to a certain extent, you should have that pain, right? Like it's almost one of the things that kind of bothers me a tiny bit about like, meditation, that kind of stuff, is sometimes I walk away with, it's like, oh, I can make anything work. It's like, yes, you can make anything work, but that does not mean that you should feel like you have to make everything work. There are indicators that we have in our life, and I have experienced this with relationships. It's like I walk away from a lot of relationship books, and it says like, hey, look, like, you can make any relationship work as long as you put the effort in. But what I think it forgets to say is like, yeah, but make sure you're selecting the right one so it actually doesn't take 10x the work that it's supposed to. So I think there's a whole bunch of combination of things there. Matt, did I hit on at least some of the points that you were hitting on? I want to make sure.
No, I think you did. And it's also, again, I think you're right about the, that's something people can do. They can kind of like use meditation as like an analgesic to just kind of like, make them feel better about a situation. And it's like, I don't think it should be done that way at all. I think it's like, you can accept a situation that you truly hate, but you can like come to grips with it and come to peace with it. And then from there, it's like how I'm gonna move. Now that I've come to grip, I'm like, look, this is just my situation. This is where I'm at. I'm gonna stop kidding myself, stop bullshitting myself. Like, this is where I'm at. And if I really think about it, this is, I probably ended up here because of X, Y, and Z, whatever. That probably a lot of it was just me not kind of doing what I was supposed to do. So it's like, once you can come to peace with that and then be like from like a kind of an accepting, peaceful place, as much as you can, then be like, I'm not like out of touch with all like the horrible feelings and this shit that sucks about this, but like I've accepted my lot that I am here currently. And from this place of peace, I'm going to try to move out and move against it with a little more clear headed, not like kind of desperate or kind of knee jerk, kind of like spazzy, if that makes sense. So that's where I think it's a tool, but yeah, people can I used to do it all the time. Like I would be like, oh, I think I'm supposed to just like bliss out and just like feel awesome and like become some Zen master. And it's like, no, dude, like really you're just learning how to buy yourself like fleeting bits of peace of mind from which you can act out of and then like kind of enhance and then slowly try to bring that into like your normal waking life where you're just like, again, you can learn how to kind of bring yourself to peace and like like sitting in your basement with nothing really going on. But the goal is really to bring that level of consciousness into a meeting at work, into a job interview, into a date to where you can like, maybe you won't obviously be as like, meditative, but like the ability to be a little less spazzy is the kind of payoff, in those real, again, it's like, this is more of like kind of a training for the real events rather than just kind of like, I'm going to be some like theoretical master that hides in the hillside and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if people want to do that, go for it. But I don't think that's really that functional. And I think that's more of like a fable kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think that makes complete sense. We have a few extra comments. Andrew Lincoln says, was more productive this week than I've been in years. Feels fucking awesome. Dude, spot on. On. There's nobody that Matt and I have ever talked to where it's like, hey man, get on the path and just try to increase productivity a little bit, like create value for others. Nobody's ever done that I've ever talked to. Matt, I assume it's the same for you. That says like, yeah, I did it, sucked. Yeah. Right? Like created all this value for people, did a whole bunch of stuff for my wife, did a whole bunch of stuff for my peers and my boss, blah, 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 whatever. Did a whole bunch of stuff for my business. And yeah, I wasn't into it. Now on the other side of it, just wasn't fun. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Everybody always says things like Andrew's saying, like it feels fucking amazing. And that's just how it is. It just is. It's a little bit painful sometimes to get yourself up and running and doing this stuff. But then once you get it done, man, it's like, holy hell. And then you feel like you've earned your free time. At least that's the way that I feel. And your free time and your rest and your downtime feels so much more enjoyable when you know that you've earned it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And that was something I struggled with forever. I'd convinced myself because I wasn't really taking downtime. That I'm like, damn, I'm never taking downtime. I don't relax. I don't go on vacation. But I also like didn't really work either. I was kind of in like this like like half state where I was like kind of bullshitting all the time. And then it's being like, I never reward myself. And then it's like, well, I shouldn't have. But it's like, yeah, dude, now when I get like I hit a point now where I'm like, I'm working, checking off my boxes. And like, again, last night I actually pushed a little bit. I went a little late. But it's like, dude, when I get done, I'm just like, oh man, I'm actually done. And I can't really explain it, but I didn't have that feeling before that. I never felt like that was a great day. I did all that I could, and once you can, you're doing all that, especially within the more important thing is within domains that you intrinsically are motivated to develop within. So It's like that slog of like, I did it for a week and nothing's changed. Oh, this sucks. When you get kind of like hooked on like your brain's projection of what your future should be and maybe will be, you start thinking, why isn't that here yet? But it's like, dude, if you can find a thing you just enjoy doing for the sake of doing it, your brain gets those little dopamine hits as you're doing it that kind of carry you through the slog until you eventually like maybe produce something, or like something happens and you're like, holy shit, and you get the big payoff. But it's like, how can you keep yourself going through the slog? And typically it's like, it's an easy question. Do something that you kind of enjoy, you know, and you still might, like, I get stressed out about writing. There's aspects of things that I'm doing that I'm like, that's going to require some research. I don't really want to do that. And then it's like, you know, I'll start doing other writing projects, and I'll just come, you know, this is where meditation kind of helps me, where I'm like, yeah, I'm being kind of resistant about this. Let me just block off time. And even if, you know, I got to do research, I'm going to spend an hour just researching this thing so that I can continue moving on. It's like, you know, it's definitely like a Swiss Army knife approach. There's a bunch of different, you know, tools in the toolkit, but in reality, it's like the simple fundamentals are like, you know, what do you like to do? What is something you would do if you didn't have a job, you know, and if it's like, oh, I'll just play video games all day. That's cool too. Like, did you ever think about getting into, you know, video game stuff? I don't know how that works, but it's like, just to start to orbit around that, the stuff that you like in some way, shape, or form, I think is like the most important things people can do.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. I completely agree. And there's some comments on the side here. Emperor, just so you know, I just sent you a link to the scorecard. If anybody needs a scorecard, I put it in the question section. I put it in the comment section as well. And then Troy's talking a lot about sleep. And Troy, one of those things to comment on your sleep is the way that I think about it. And again, I'm doing a terrible job at it right now. But the way I try to think about it when I'm on my game is like, my obligation to sleep is me being obligated to showing up to you guys, to everybody else in my life at 100%. If I am not, if I am sleep deprived, I'm not 100%, nowhere even close to it. So like I constantly have to try to reframe my brain to remember that thing. Cause that's literally what it is. Like if you are sleep deprived and you're going out there and trying to like set the world on fire, you're only operating at 60% capacity, 50% capacity, 40% capacity. And over the long run, that is just, you're not going to experience the results for yourself and for others, nowhere even close to it unless you rejuvenate. So I'm happy to hear you're on the sleep bandwagon, brother.
Yeah, man. And that's something that helped me too, because I can definitely sometimes lay down and be like, damn, I'm not really tired. I'm not going to fall asleep. And then it sets off this whole thing of like, oh, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. Oh, shit, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. And it's like, I've completely, for the most part, I've kind of severed the link between my mind, like worrying about sleep, and just like, you know, if I do hit the bed, if I hit the sack and I'm just like, damn, I'm kind of wired, I stay in bed and I just listen to an audiobook. Like I let my body tell me basically when to go to sleep, but I definitely put my body in my bed. You know, I use my mind to put my body in my bed. But if I am for some reason like, oh, I'm not tired, rather than freaking myself out, it's just like, all right, here comes audiobooks until my eyes start to get heavy. You know, it's just literally that's all I do. And it's so much easier than like worrying about it. It's like, it's not really up to your brain to go to sleep. You know, you'll be notified when it's time for sleep. But if you can set a time to be in bed, that's the big thing. Like, be in that fucking bed. Like, don't like fuck around and be like, well, I'm not tired yet, I'll watch another movie. It's like, well, dude, you're looking at explosions. Like, that doesn't count. You're going to stay awake. But you know, so that helps me big time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, Matt, you are spot on with the responsibility should be to get your human in bed, and the kind of rest will take care of itself. And you might struggle the first few nights. And like, if you're used to going to bed at 3 a.m., blah, 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 whatever, but it's like, force yourself to get in bed and use sensory deprivation, which I believe is what Matt is talking about. Only give yourself, if you can't sleep, maybe listen to an audiobook, or maybe you read a book, but yeah, don't go and get this sensory overload, because that's, you're going to defeat the purpose. But eventually you are instructing your body and your brain to say like, nope, non-negotiable. We are in bed right now and you're going to fall asleep regardless of, but what the only other option is not moving, right? Being bored or listening to an audiobook, something like that. So yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And it's also, I start to look forward to it now. It's like, you know, because I have my, you know, relaxation. Me and Brittany have a relaxation at night after everything's done. We like chill out and hang out. And then I get my own, like, you know, it's bedtime. I get my own little pacifier. It really is an audiobook, dude. It's like, I put it on. I'm listening to one right now. It's just so good. It's about the, like how, I mean, it's kind of complex, but it's really about the myth of barter and how like money arose out of barter, which this guy, he's an anthropologist. He's like, that's not true at all. Like, you know, barter is a byproduct of money. There's no real, we've tried and looked, we haven't seen any sort of large scale economy that runs on barter. It's a myth. So it's like, typically he says the idea is credit. Like, there's been credit forever, but you know, blah, blah, blah. So it's really, the audiobook's awesome, but you end up learning like a ton of cool shit. Apparently the Wizard of Oz is about like moving away from the gold standard and introducing like a gold and silver standard. And, you know, it's just crazy. You lay there. And again, the whole reason I'm bringing this up is like, you know, it's like I'm putting myself to sleep. And I always like when the kind of rewards get stacked on top of each other. It's like, I'm putting myself to bed. Now it's like, this is a time where I can just kind of relax, like really relax and just really chill out and just kind of, and then like, dude, what is the byproduct of that? I'm learning a bunch of cool shit and I fall asleep. And, it's just like for me, it's like an awesome way to end my day. And it also, dude, sorry, I don't want to ramble on, but there was this other thing too. I was telling you, Wes, where it's like, just doing things like, let me go do something for somebody else. It's like, I was on the Patreon for the Matt and Shane's recently, and I was like, let me just write something. Let me just write a note for, everybody on here. Just like, I just want to do something for somebody else, and we'll just see what happens, see what it becomes. And, it ended up being like this, I was telling you, this like stupid, like, mock inspirational kind of thing of like how to like gain power in a business setting. And it ended up with like just blowing your boss or just something stupid, but it was very dumb. But in doing that, I came up with another idea with another project I think I'm going to start doing. And, it's like, it's almost like it's like an unlimited power source, man. You start doing stuff for others. And it's like, there's also the author of the book that I was reading has this big sticking point where his part of it, if he was to talk about his North Star vision, he actually died this year. The guy's the man, but his thing is like, how do you unleash creativity that lies dormant and otherwise kind of people who are crushed under the weight of having a stupid, pointless job? If that makes sense. He's like, we have, it's like, we're not really doing ourselves a service. Cause it's like, obviously not everyone's like, has like all these crazy ideas, but he's like, for the most part, everyone you meet has thought about something that you would probably benefit from if you only knew what they were thinking about. And rather than, again, like crushing them under the weight of like pointless bureaucracy, like how can we unleash that power? How can we unleash these creative powers in people, and how can we empower people to kind of share their ideas in a way that benefits all of us?
Who was the author?
Mark Graeber.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, David Graeber. Sorry, I keep calling him Mark. David Graeber. Pretty awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. No, man, I think I think you're spot on. You're spot. I think I'm often surprised, which I shouldn't be anyway. I don't know why, but I'm often surprised with how much value you can actually create for other human beings. Mm-hmm. And you used a great word. It's infinite. There is no end to that. It's insane. So whether it be as simple as like creating a funny little thing for people, it doesn't matter, or like getting a little kind of tiny card for your girlfriend, does not matter. Like at every single point in the day, you can always create value for yourself and for others, period. Yeah, absolutely. So that's awesome. Ray, what's up, brother? I just saw you get in the comments. What's up? Delco Jim, what's up? Sorry, I haven't said hi to you. So Matt, I also wanted to recognize Lucas. He sent something earlier. He set something up for the team. I don't exactly know what it is. It's a registration. I'm sorry, Lucas, I couldn't see it, but it looked awesome. But I'd be lying if I said I know exactly what it is. If somebody could explain it to me, maybe that'd be cool. Maybe even having him on, if that makes sense to do it. But Matt, how'd the scorecard go this week, bud?
Pretty good. I actually, sorry, I got kind of thrown off by whatchamacallit, the Sunday. I didn't take my Sunday thing off yet. So that kind of threw me for a loop. But sorry, I'm going to check something real quick. I have
So what Matt is referring to is we edited Sunday. So now Sunday is off. That is off time for everybody. It's like you're in season, you're on the floor Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday it's like take it, relax, do whatever the hell you want, eat some cake. It doesn't matter. Also, Matt, I wanted to pick your brain. What do you think about lowering the exercise standard of the scorecard to like 10 or 15 minutes? Because the objective is like, what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea. Sometimes I'll actually do workouts that are, like they are like a 15-minute, 20-minute thing that like, dude, I'm like sweating bullets,
Yep.
And I think it's good to do like, dude, 10 minutes, I think is a good thing to set it. Sometimes, yeah, I would worry about that. I'm like, damn, it's not 30 minutes. And I'm like going and doing other stuff. When in reality, I just, nice. Yeah. I think that'll work pretty well. Sorry. I was trying to make sure the live stream was live on YouTube. But it'll record either way. Yeah, I think 10 minutes, it will be a good thing to start it out. And again, if you're doing 10 minutes, typically you'll keep going if like once you start,
Exactly.
But I have this week, I don't want to jump the shark in terms of telling what I did this week in terms of the wins, but it's like, dude, I have this punching bag and this pull-up bar set up. Dude, I've been doing 5-minute rounds on like, dude, if I do 2 5-minute rounds on the punching bag and then do pull-ups and push-ups, I'm drenched in sweat. The whole thing takes maybe 15 minutes, dude. It's, so it's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, yeah. Brag about it, man. Let's go. What's the scorecard? What are your wins, man? And if everybody else share their wins in the comments.
You know what? Let's so dude, this week was pretty big. I had I have I think one more. one more workout left. No, I think I'm going to do, I have two. Well, that's because of the 30-minute threshold. So yeah, really I have one more to do, and I'll do that today. I have, the big thing was getting the modules done for Psychnol. That was like, oh, Jesus Christ, dude. That was, again, you start a project and, this is what happens to me. I have the idea of it. I'm like, oh, this would be so cool. And I'm working with Lucas and he's like, all right, here's what we'll actually need. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of stuff. I'm like, you start doing that thing like, I got a lot going on. It would be understandable if I don't finish it, and it's just all that talk to try to get out of it. And I was like, fuck it. Like he would just hit me with lists and I would just get everything done. Finally, I have literally one more module to create, and then I'll go back and do all like the voice recording stuff for it. And it's like, so this thing it's been hanging over my head now for Jesus Christ, man, like 4, 5, 6 months, maybe. I don't know how long. Will be ready to finally like be out and be the thing that I want it to be. So that's going to be, this week was huge, and getting like just Prezi slides, dude, nonstop.
Nice.
But I got all of them done except for, again, I'm going to put the finishing touches on one more, then have like a little mini one at the end that ties it all together. So I did that. The workouts were going well. The habit card, I got to get, now that I have the updated Sunday one, I got to re-update that. I have been filling it out, but I want to keep doing it every day. I kind of fell behind on that and like filled it in retroactively.
Yeah. Printing out really helps. I think Troy was saying that for me, it really helps. I always have a printed version and I just mark it off.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put that, actually, I think I'm going to put, I'll see if I can do that. I want to copy and paste that into my kind of goals thing. So when I print, because I do print this out every week, I want to try to like have it so it's on the back so I can just check it off.
Cool.
So yeah, the learning modules were huge. The pull-ups I think I set out to do 100 pull-ups this week. I have like 27 left. I was going to do 30 minutes on the bag. I have 10 minutes left on the bag. Early days, I kind of dropped the ball. I only got up early once. I have one cold bath left. Also, my bath water is coming in at, I think it's 57 degrees. So it wasn't 47 like I thought. It's chilly.
Oh, it was chilly, bro.
I took a cold bath and got into bed with Brittany, and like, dude, she couldn't touch me. Like I was just radiating cold. It was pretty fucking funny. So I'm gonna do that again.
So you did one because your goal was 2. So you did one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one. I'm doing one tonight. It was awesome, dude. It was so. I even had the little laser gun to like see the temperature. So I'm gonna do one tonight and also add like, I have an ice maker, so I'm gonna do like a tray of ice and just slowly start getting that water down. I want to try to get the water down to like 50 and then slowly step it down. But like, dude, fucking 57 is chilly, dude. I got in there. And as a bonus too, because the thing that helps with the cold water, I swear by this, man, is like trying to get to a point where you can just be aware of the fact it's cold without reacting. And it's like, dude, that's like a big exercise I was doing of just like, again, it is cold, but it's like just I'm aware of the fact that this is cold and I'm not like spazzing and jerking around. I just literally lower myself into it. And it's like, oh my God, is it so hard to do? And through the inner resistance around not doing it is like, it's huge. It's like, you just don't feel like dipping into a cold bath at any point. There's no good time for it. Mm-hmm. But it's before bedtime is pretty nice. You get in the covers and you're like, oh. So yeah, I have that done. I wanted to get crack back into the law of success. So I started reading a little bit of that. So that was good. And what else did I do? Oh, and I constructed a plot diagram, like I said, of the book I'm writing, because I kind of it started to kind of spin out into like kind of Nowheresville. So I started from the beginning and started restructuring it scene by scene, which kind of helps me keep everything on track. So honestly, dude, again, we talk about touching all of our goals. I touched all of my goals this week. I even did yoga I did deep stretch with Adrienne as well for 10 minutes the other day. So yeah, man. So I touched all my goals. Very happy about it. So very good week.
Dude, you crushed it, man.
You
even crushed it week after week.
It's fun, dude. I mean, dude, again, it's just like I get real into shit, and like this is like Jesus Christ, the payoff on this is insane.
It is. It's insane the level of results that you get, but then it's also insane how quickly you get them. Like, not to sound like an infomercial, but it's like it's pretty wild. The feedback loop is pretty immediate for most of the stuff. I mean, would you agree with that?
Dude, absolutely. And this was something too I thought of, like kind of like jot it down right before we started. It's like, dude, it's amazing how much the landscape changes just by starting. Both your inner and outer landscape. It's like a fog just clears. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't need all that negative rumination or all this bullshit. It's like I just needed to start doing stuff. And like, dude, it's just like the landscape literally changes as soon as you start. And again, it's like, you don't have like a bunch of golden coins dumped on you, but it's like you're just kind of in touch with something and you're kind of like charged up, and it's just like an energy zap that comes naturally that we try to replace with like sugary energy drinks. That's just like,
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, man. Well, awesome job on a kick-ass week, bro.
How about you, bro?
So I'm going to pull it up right now. So my score so far, let's say not counting today, my score Monday through Thursday was 33. So that's an A plus for Monday, an A for Tuesday, an A for Wednesday, and an A for Thursday. And I'm on track for an A today. What I'm trying to do for you guys is experiment with the scorecard. How quickly can I get the majority of them done? And I think, especially now, since we just changed the exercise to 10 minutes, I think I can knock out almost all of the scorecard before like 9 a.m., before 10 a.m. And kind of like what you said, Matt, I'm just habit stacking. So like my routine is like, I'll wake up. Most of the times I'll hit the gym or I'll do a quick workout. I will drink a half a gallon of water relatively quickly. It's not all at the same time, but I can get it done in an hour, you know. I do my meditation in the car. Like I'll drive and I'll set it for 5 minutes because that's the minimum. I'll set it for 5 minutes of just silence. Do that. Immediately after that, I call my grandma or I call my mom or I call someone in my family as the act of love. And then a few other things. And it's like boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, by the time I get into the office, 90% of the scorecard's done. You know, so for those of you who want to try that, I'd highly, highly, highly recommend it. That way you get a bunch of wins under your belt before you even get in. And the other thing is finally got done setting up the newsletter, which ASB, I hope you're proud of me for that, because I am not a tech person at all. And like, this is something I kept on sweeping under the rug. So now if you go to, I think it's www.newsletter.rhomas.com, we can now sign up for that newsletter. I'm going to start actually creating stuff in there. And Matt and I will. And so yeah, that's another facet. So I finally got that off. And then another thing that I was talking to Matt about is I need to start contributing on the Patreon. Like I want to communicate with you guys every single day. And I have a whole bunch of stuff like saved up that I want to be able to get out there like constantly, like whiteboard style. It's not gonna be anything fancy, but there's just a bunch of cool stuff that Matt teaches me or my mentors teach me or I learned throughout the business day and so on. It's like, oh, guys would love this. Like I want to share it. So I need a platform to do that. And also I think Matt, for the Patreon, if you don't mind me saying this, because I've never done that before, it'll be cool. But just throwing it out there, like if we end up doing a Patreon and somebody can't afford it, I mean, totally happy to say, like, have them just send us an email and we can figure out a way, like, as long as obviously being truthful about it. Because I want I want our team to have access to everything. If they can't afford it, then great. Just let us know and we'll figure out a way to make it work. Is that fair, Matt? I
think that's the best way to do it, honestly. That way it's like, again, you're not kind of crucifying yourself. So like, you know, like eventually you kind of like to try to balance your checkbook, but it's also like, you know, trying to make it so it's not like as like, you know, 3 easy payments or like high. It's just like, no, everyone have it. It's just like, just give me $1, bro. Come on.
Well, I think it'll just be cool.
If you don't have it, fucking here it is. You know, we're going with the point. I think the whole idea of like hiding things behind paywalls is kind of gone because it easily can just get pirated. You know, if the more defensive you are, the easier it gets pirated. So it's really just kind of like and human beings are naturally, what is the word? Well, it's cooperative, but also like reciprocal, where it's like you'll be surprised. Like you don't really, I think people are learning, you don't have to twist people's arm as hard as more to be like, come on, give me $1, you know, again, just to make it so, you know, just so you can make the more money for me has always been like a being able to buy my time. And it's like, as long as I, you know, because otherwise I'll get swamped with other bullshit. But it's like, I'm not even, like I said, I think I speak for you as well. We're not even that worried about it, but it is nice to like set up to let things go for people who want it a little bit deeper and more in detail. If you don't, no problem. And if you want it, you can't afford it, you can have it too. Everyone wins, you know, so there it is.
Yeah. And there's a couple things to that. Number one, I want to see how big we can grow this thing and help as many people as possible. And it eventually it'd be some point it's cool to like reinvest back into it, whether that be whatever it is, like, you know, building out a bigger website, doing all of those types of things. But then number two, being able to, like, there are certain things for sure that I am not going to say out on YouTube, right? Like I've got financial licenses all online. I've got all these other things that, like, when we were talking to Butterly and Rainey on the Dad Meat podcast, when we transitioned over to the Patreon that was behind a paywall, that made me feel so much more comfortable of saying, okay, these are the people who are like, you know what I mean? It's just not just out there.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Masses where somebody could just randomly stumble on it and then say, like, who's this crazy guy Weston talking about all that, you know? So anyway, those are some things that we're thinking about. And then also, Matt, this hits on one of the topics that you and I talked about a long time ago, which is the payback ratio. When your payback ratio is and this is something that I'll also put up on there. Do you remember when we talked about the payback ratio?
Yep.
So it's like, for me, my personal payback ratio is 90-10. I want to go and put 90%, that's what I want. I want me in a relationship to contribute 90, and I want them to contribute 10. That's where I'm comfortable. If it's anything out of skew with that, I'm no longer comfortable, right? Then it's just like too much taking, right? I'm giving too much to the person's taking. And then if it's anything else, like if it's 50-50, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I want my friendships to be that same way. Like I want my friends to know it's like I love them, like I'm all in, and I will if they go one step, I'll go 4. I'll go 44. Like I want it to be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're thinking. And honestly, man, I'm just having a blast, like being with you guys and serving you guys and having you guys giving helping me a ton too. So it's been a really cool fucking ride, and we've only been doing it for a short period of time. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm the most excited about right now is like I actually have a bunch of different projects on the horizon that just I really think have just came out of this, like me doing this, me structuring my time better, and me kind of like this. I fucking suffer so badly from a lack of follow through, and this has kind of really, it's almost like I had like a missing leg, and this is almost like a prosthetic limb where it's like this has helped me so much, like just see things through, and just kind of just little micro bursts of like, even if I can only do this thing for 20 minutes a day, it's like, dude, Jesus Christ, the amount of stuff I got done, again, on like these couple little, I love having secret projects, but like they're just kind of, they're moving like every day. I just do it just a tiny little bit. I don't say, I don't let a week go by. Even if I do it for 5 minutes, it's like, I don't care. I'm just boom. Even if I put the title of the thing that I'm thinking about doing next, it's whatever. And it's like, dude, like I'm really excited for like a year from now, dude, because it'll be like multiple projects dropped. And, eventually the other book I'm writing that, maybe it will take a little longer, but it's like, dude, it's awesome, man. And like think about it this way. It's like, I've had a bunch of ideas burning in my head. I've been unable to bring them to fruition through doing this. When it was just you and me, Wes, when we would just talk before we even did the live stream aspect, even that kept me kind of on the straight and narrow of like following through because I was accountable. And it's like, dude, a year from now, I could have like Psych Null out and functional. Two new little, secret projects. Won't say what they are. And then my book out within a year. It's like, dude, that's a crazy year, man. That's nuts. And then it's like, and then think about how much things change. What are things looking like then? And it's like, and all of that's just bonus. Cause at the end of the day, it's like, I'm happy being able to pay my bills and do this stuff here. You know what I mean? Even if I had to some reason, I think about this all the time, even if all this stuff went away and I had to go back to get a job, I would go back to a job, a 40-hour week job, and just be fulfilled being like, damn, dude, that was fucking sick what I did. And just go work at a job and then start my whole thing over again, being like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And it's like, I'm happy with doing that alone. And it's like, dude, it's just pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, man. Cool stuff, dude. So thank you guys. Love all you guys. Anything else, brother?
Nah, dude, that's pretty much it, man. It's just the big thing is just kind of like the starting point, man. And it's just like, let the gun go off and just do just a little of shit, man. Do 5 push-ups a day. Think about the things you're uncomfortable doing and just do them in just the slightest thing, and it's like, it all for me goes back to like, if you're still kind of in orbit, like, I don't know what I'm doing, you got to go back and do the value stuff. I threw that video in the Discord, and, the other updated one will be out on the Psych Null thing when that's out eventually. But it's like, do some values writing, lay out a vision for your future. And then just like you, Wes, kind of showed me, turn that vision into doable, actionable items and just do those items. That's all you got to do. And then once you turn those action items that reflect your values into habits, you're automatically doing all the stuff you're kind of interested in every day eventually, or spending more of your day doing that than you would have before. And it just feels good. It feels good.
100%, man. No, I couldn't agree more with you, dude. And just shout out to Lucas. So Lucas, I read in your comments exactly what you did. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. So Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, but he basically created a directory. So anybody on the team providing services, whether you're a plumber or accountant, doesn't matter what it is, it seems like you can go and sign up on there. Lucas created it. So you can put your contact information in there. And then if you need a plumber, you go to the Rhomas directory that Lucas sent out. Lucas, if you wouldn't mind sending that link again, that'd be awesome. So, the guy who we had on last week, what was his, Chalupa Cabra. Did I get that right? I think I got that right.
You got it.
So he's a perfect example. Like put his, Chalupa, go and put your contact information up there. So if anybody needs, your work, then hell yeah, I think it's a great idea. Now, one disclaimer, and I think we're all on the same page here. It's like, we're all dudes on a team, right? So like, don't oversell anybody, right? Like, I think everybody in here is committed to mastering your craft. So let's keep it at that. And I know all of you guys will do that, but I know as it grows, like we got to remind the guys coming in. It's like, this is a no BS, no hyperbole, no exaggeration. Like, we're all fucking flawed, or we're trying our best, but we're not going to pose as something that we're not. So, Lucas, I super appreciate you, brother, for doing that, and appreciate all you guys.
I think that's absolutely right, dude. What you're saying is, like, keep it out of Spamville, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely, dude. I love that.
Yeah, create real value. And Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett said the best way to get ahead in life is to deserve it. So as long as we go in with that mindset, then it'll be awesome. Thank you guys so much, Matt. Thank you, brother. And everybody have a great Sunday. We took the Sunday off the scorecards so that you can just chill.
Yeah, for real. I'll be curious to hear about tales of chilling on Monday.
I would too, man. I really, really would. And and please keep posting in Discord. I look at it very often, actually, and I think Matt does too. And it's just cool to see you guys and your progress. And what's even cooler is the support you guys give each other and give us, and vice versa. So awesome. Cool dudes.
All right, brother.
All right, later, bud. Later, dudes.